Hello everyone, I hope everyone is fine. I was just sitting and I thought, let me share my own story, my own personal experiences from my childhood. Those same experiences that actually pushed me to think a lot, to think on a deeper level about education, how education should be. And those same experiences are actually the basis for my, my own critical thinking and deep and high level of thinking in education. Those same experiences are the ones that actually helped me to connect how my learners are to how I was when I was a kid. But before I talk about it, I want to say a big thanks to Vikash. His comment was that why did I change the style of my uploads and why am I not myself in the video? So I tried to change the kind of videos that I was making. It's like every few seconds the picture would change and image would change. Anyone who is watching the video would not get bored. So that was on my mind. Thank you so much, Vikash. Your comment was so motivating. You have always been so supportive. So thank you so much. So this is me here and I am again recording a video, and I'm going to talk about those experiences that actually pushed me to start thinking about, education, and like my mind got hooked into education. And I wasn't necessarily, when I was young, I wasn't necessarily thinking about, oh, I will become a teacher. No. But I was still thinking a lot about education and how kids should feel when they are at school and what kind of experience they should have when they are at school, how things should be taught and which things don't make sense and those things should not be taught. When I was a kid, I remember I was just in grade 4, grade 5. I used to find math so difficult, extremely difficult. And I still remember that memory. I was on the right side, like I was on her right side. And I still remember that this was me and I was looking at her on this side. She was here and she was giving an instruction and I could see everyone following that instruction right away. They would understand that that instruction that was given by the teacher to solve a math problem or to do a step towards finally solving that problem. Like the whole class would quickly understand and do it, but I wouldn't get it at all. I wouldn't understand it at all. And then what was the effect? The cause was that there was a math problem. The teacher was giving an instruction and every time in the class I would experience this thing that I wouldn't understand. And then what was the effect? The effect was me experiencing anxiety. And that is the reason why in some of my videos I talk about anxiety. I don't talk about anxiety just because I went online and read someone's words and read someone's ideas. No, I talk about anxiety because I have personally experienced anxiety. That's why I understand how it originates, where it comes from, and how learners actually experience it. Anxiety doesn't come from nothing in the classroom. Anxiety in the learner, why did I experience that anxiety? I was experiencing that anxiety because what was being told to me, the instruction that was being given to me, my mind couldn't understand it. When my mind couldn't understand it naturally, now I was so young, I did not understand this thing that when the mind doesn't understand something, it feels disrespected and then it experiences anxiety. I did not understand this at that time, but now since I remember all of those memories, so I can better break them down now, and I can understand my little young self right now more than I could understand those emotions at that time. So which also means that now I'm better able to understand my own learners and my own young learners and how they feel. Like I can totally see through their eyes, like how they are finding the instruction that I'm giving them, how their mind is looking at the task that I'm giving them, just because of me trying to understand my own self when I was young. I remember those memories, but I could just never make sense of those things that I was experiencing. But just because now I have grown up, okay, and now I'm myself teaching, so I think about those same memories that are stored in my mind, and I remember how I was looking at the teacher. I remember how she was giving instructions every time. I remember each time when I was experiencing anxiety, and I also remember the cause of that anxiety. So this is the reason why I talk about most of the things that I talk about. I only talk about because I personally understand them, and that's how my mind breaks them down, and that's how my mind comprehends those things, and those things are then important to me. And that's why, since it's originating from my mind, that's why I talk about those things. I personally, I'm not a big fan at all of copying ideas from other people, even stealing their terminology or taking their ideas and then using those ideas as if those ideas are my own. If those same things are written somewhere in the text or are also presented by someone else, then good. It means that I'm reaching the right information. I'm reaching exactly the right information that really makes sense in this world. Okay? And what better way there is to reach the right information from your own thinking as opposed to reading it in a book? Because when you'll read about it in a book, you'll just take it at just the words, at just the information, knowledge level, but you don't fully understand the depth of it. So that's one thing. So this anxiety I used to experience a lot. So this is one thing that I would like to share with all the teachers. Try to keep your mind focused on this one thing, that I'm going to teach my learners today. I'm going into the class today and I'm going to avoid all those things that are going to create that could be the reason, or that could be the cause of anxiety in any one of my learners. Keep your instructions so clear. The way you will talk to them, the way you will communicate with them, the way you enter the classroom and you share objectives with them. Like after 1 to 2 weeks, they should be able to predict, before you doing anything, they should be able to predict what is it that you are going to do. And their mind should be then ready. Their mind should be at that level that it gets trained to doing on its own what you want them to do without you having to tell them. So when their minds can predict you, there is less anxiety. That's my point here. I'm not just talking about the routines here. I'm actually talking about trying to avoid anxiety. The moment you enter the classroom and they don't know what's going to happen, there are chances of anxiety building up in their minds, and that anxiety also causes them to fidget a lot, move a lot, because their minds just don't know what's going to happen next. So they will fidget a lot, they'll move a lot. But if you have built routines with them and their minds are able to predict you, what is it, even you will notice this thing with even your tough learners, even with your the most tough learners, the ones whom you just have to struggle a lot to make them even behave, to make them even follow classroom rules. Even those learners will get used to your routines when their minds can predict you, when their minds can relate to whatever instruction is in your mind. There will be less anxiety in them because their minds are understanding. And when their minds are understanding, anxiety goes down and the mind will get trained to doing what you want them to do at that minute, at that point, in that lesson. It should not happen in your lesson that every time when you enter there is something new that you are doing. There should be one routine, one thing that for me special. I'll give you an example. When I enter the classroom, all of them, they know that we have to switch to our working groups. All of them, they know this thing. Why they know this thing? Because in the beginning I pushed them, I asked them again and again consistently to move to their working groups. So now when I enter the classroom, even before I settle with my laptop and with my things, all of them, they know what they have to do. They know we have to go in our working groups, and they know which things we have to take with us because of me repeating the names of those things along with the instruction. Okay, your books, your pouch, your iPad, color group or color place. So they know. I have said this thing so many times that by now I am predictable. I am predictable to their mind. Their mind knows right away what I want them to do. But because it's from the first minute before even I start the lesson, their mind is connected to my expectation, to the expectation in my mind. There is a connection. It's not like no connection at all between your mind and their mind. So when there is no connection at all, they don't understand your expectation, there is going to be a lot of anxiety. Okay, this anxiety is a different kind of anxiety that I'm talking about. This is the kind of anxiety where they just don't know what you expect, and they haven't got used to the routines because you didn't build the routines well with them, you didn't give them instruction consistently. So there is going to be anxiety, they are going to move around a lot. But the other kind of anxiety that I am actually more concerned about, and that anxiety is actually a dangerous kind of anxiety, because in the long term, you can't even believe what this kind of anxiety can do in the long term. This kind of anxiety can make the child to hate education, can make the child or make the students to see no point at all in even coming to school. This anxiety can cause the kid to hate the teachers, hate the educational system, see no point in working, see no point in improving, see no point in putting in any effort even. Even some kids will just kick their books, and I have literally seen it. They will kick their books just because they just don't find any point in it. They don't find any point in it. So to avoid this second kind of anxiety, which is like a dangerous kind of anxiety, your mind should be focused on avoiding this kind of anxiety at any cost. Avoid it. And how can you avoid it? By not giving them the kind of instruction that has a lot of difficult words. When you know those are ESL kids, and you go into the classroom and you are sharing your objectives as a robot using that tough, difficult terminology, we are going to evaluate what the author is saying, what the author has talked about, the main points author has talked about in this text. We are going to analyze and evaluate. Okay, you know you want them to analyze the text. You know you want them to evaluate the text. So why? And you know that these are ESL kids, and you also know that there are a lot of gaps that got created in the previous years. So why are you putting them through more anxiety? Why are you creating more disassociation with their lesson by using this terminology that their mind is not going to understand? So there should always be a purpose in whatever you will say to them, in whatever you will share with them, how you will communicate with them, because you want them to not experience that anxiety. The more you will use the terminology, the more you will use the tasks, the more you will use the materials in the PowerPoints that don't make sense to them, that doesn't benefit them at all, that their mind doesn't find any point in looking at it, doesn't find any point in doing it or solving it, the more anxiety levels will rise in their brain. It will rise a lot, because they are young. They can't say it. They wouldn't say it that why we have to sit through this lesson. But once they are going to grow up, they are going to think about this thing, that we were forced to sit through the lesson that didn't make any sense. So this is what we have to avoid. We have to avoid any chances that can, cause their mind to unconsciously feel disrespected because it doesn't understand why we have to look at this PowerPoint. What is it that this PowerPoint is doing? Why we have to look at all the words in this PowerPoint? What was the point of looking at all the slides in this PowerPoint? What is the point of this task? Like, make them see point in everything. If you are failing to make them see point in everything that you are doing with them, while you are sharing objectives, while you are asking them questions, while you are making them work on the task, while you are even placing them in groups, even the groups should make clear sense to them. They should know why they are in those groups and what is the expectation in that group. You can't be just placing them randomly in any group and them not understanding that what is the particular expectation in this group that teacher has from us. What's the difference? They should clearly know that if we are in this group, teacher expects us to do this thing a bit differently from that group, and we really have to work on this expectation that the teacher has. So everything that you use with them, or you do to them, or you do with them, should make sense. They should not experience anxiety the way I remember when I was a kid, and I always experienced anxiety. And when I am sharing my short story of me experiencing anxiety during math lesson, it does not mean that my teacher was not good. My teacher was a great teacher. My teacher was a great teacher. That's why the rest of the 99% of kids, they were able to follow her. They were able to work with her. My point here is that try your best to save your learners from this kind of dangerous anxiety, because in the long run they will start hating the whole educational system. They will see no point in going through this education. And from day one, when I start teaching my learners, my mind is focused on saving them from any such anxiety. So always whenever you share objectives with them, share them in the way that you know your kids will understand, keeping in mind their age and their level as well. When you teach them with the PowerPoint, make sure that there should be some point in it. They should be able to really take something from it. And As teachers, we might say that, this is our work and it's really good and they are going to really benefit from it, but for a few minutes at least we should really try to put ourselves in their shoes and really see from their perspective how their mind is going to look at this wordy PowerPoint. Only show them what is really going to benefit them, and they will really see point in it. The task should make sense to every level that is sitting in front of you, every level that you are teaching. When you give them the task, every level, the kids on every level should be able to really understand that task. If the moment they won't understand that task, the moment, what is this, I don't understand how to do this, anxiety is going to create anxiety, because you are giving a mind. Look, when you are dealing with the kid, it's not just you're dealing just with the kid, you're actually dealing with his mind. So you have to be very respectful towards that mind that you are dealing with, not just that individual, but the mind, because the mind will unconsciously pick those little disrespects that it experiences. The way we are giving them tasks is actually not right. That's why their mind doesn't understand it, because it's not modified to their levels, it's not catering to their needs. So make sure that each mind, each level in front of you should be able to make sense of the task that you're giving them, the questions that you ask them, the way that you talk to them. Everything should make sense to them. If there is anything in your teaching or in your way of dealing with them that doesn't make sense, the mind is going to experience anxiety. And this anxiety that comes through the teaching, this is a dangerous kind of anxiety, because this in the long term is going to ruin the whole experience, how they look at education. They would not value it at all. From a learner's perspective, it's devastating. Not just at that grade, but for pretty much the rest of the future. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope it will be helpful.